Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Do you know what? It's been a week, I think, since the last video. I've been very busy, but guys, we're back on track. Few updates of a few different asset videos coming your way today and across the rest of this week. We're going to start off with Quant QNT on the exchange. Before we do so, make sure that you, of course, check out the other videos on the channel after this one, of course. And if you haven't done so yet, do smash that subscribe button on the channel so you get notified as well of all the videos coming away as and when we get them uploaded. So guys, we're going to go straight into this one. The last time we spoke about Quant, we did a bit of an overview of the recent Q&A that the guys did over there. Very interesting kind of conversations around CBDCs and the integration in general of the new financial system coming. And of course, what they've done recently in the last couple of weeks have been putting some notes, if you like, some expansions based on the information that we provided you guys. I think it was about a week or so ago, or the last video that we did, around the British government or the Bank of England in general wanting to create a CBDC system and a solution. And they've opened it up, as we touched upon in the last video, for companies, small, medium enterprises and large companies as well, to get involved with applying to be the solution for this, or at least the proof of concept. Now, proof of concept, just to reiterate, it's kind of like the alpha stage. It's very much proving or showing that you can do this. Now, the question remains, and it does say in there that the Bank of England doesn't want to do the solution itself. It wants someone to come in and do that. Whether or not they change their mind and steal the idea or bring people in that can do it is another question. But for now, this number is racking up. I think the last video we did was about 15 applicants that were incomplete. So obviously, it's Christmas time or holiday time, and it's probably going to be quiet a bit for teams and everything right now. But I do anticipate probably to be racking this up in the next couple of days. Closing date for applications is this Friday, so these guys have got to hurry up. But there is one completed one, and I'm really intrigued to see which ones are going ahead with this. But of course, what I'd like to see is the likes of Quant and some of the other assets or projects that we follow or invest in are very interested in this. Now, whether they go and apply their own methodology to this, or whether they're just taking a bit of a back seat, but perhaps still have the infrastructure to support some of the other applicants to do this, will be something we may find out in the future. I'd very much love to know that list, because I think it gives you massive encouragement and understanding of who's playing here. And I think, to be honest, you guys out there and probably ourselves here are probably invested in most of them already. I would be quite surprised if there's many that are missing off our portfolios that are involved in these current stages. But we've got some interesting points here. One of its supporters, Gilbert Verdian, so one of the founders and obviously the CEO as well of Quant, believes a well-designed CBDC could help provide a real-time view of risks and currency outflows to help implement specific and targeted measures to prevent financial contagions from spreading further in the event of a crisis. Now, he's pretty much referring to a lot of the financial crises that, what we're going through now, what we went through in 2007/8. But of course, he mentions here about the digital pound enables consumers and businesses to automate complex and cumbersome processes and implement logic into money. Now, they're talking about very much the technological advancement of finance. We all know it's coming. Whether you like it or not, it's going to arrive, guys. Like, we know the new RTGS system is due to be completed with its full integration worldwide by November 2025. Time is running out. And I've always said this, and I'll repeat it. I do generally believe that in the next big bull run will probably be catalyzed from the conversations around CBDCs. I'm not focusing massively on the ISO 20022 compliance, albeit that is very important for the messaging system and the financial related cryptocurrencies and assets and projects. I'm more interested in who's actually going to be providing the solutions for this. And of course, they do have to be operating within that standardization to an extent. But yeah, I think a lot of people are getting too bogged down with that. I think more importantly, we need to sort of really identify or start following some of these narratives. You have to ask, like, well, why is Quant getting so involved? and conversational about this. And of course, we know that they are partnering and working with things like the Digital Pound Foundation, who we've got a massive interview with at the beginning of January. It's slightly delayed, obviously, like the holiday period and stuff. I'm looking forward to that. But of course, the integrations and the conversations, the networking with the things like the BIS Innovation Hub. Remember, we covered this last year in 2021, where Sunak, before he was Prime Minister, announced the Innovation Hub. And that has actually the point where I said Sunak will probably be the Prime Minister and he will shaft in the CBDCs. He's a financial guru. He's pro-crypto, as are the rest of the leadership program that are currently in state around the world from the World Economic Forum. And this is something that will just basically plowed out. Whether it's a retaliation, there's some people that always say like problem, reaction, solution. It sometimes is reversed, that they already have the solution, create the problem, introduce the solution, and that's the operative. Could it be that they just turn around to the mass public, the mass media, who in general, I would probably say 90% either don't understand cryptocurrency or blockchain or CBDCs in general, probably never heard of it. Probably not even interested. But the point will happen where they'll just go, we're doing a reset, guys, and we're bringing a new financial system. No more paper money, no more cash. It's all through here. And that's probably when a backlash will come, and it will probably be way, way, way too late because nothing anyone can do about it. So, this is where the big conversation about centralization and decentralization comes in very significantly. And there's this really interesting point. So this is actually from FinTech Circle. It's an organization, very much, I think, one of the leaders in the world that's trying to basically, through events, through networking, through conversations, encourage the powers of FinTech, the good side of FinTech. Now, this is where you as an investor, as a researcher, but also a potential future user of these technologies and solutions, to understand this as much as possible and as quickly as possible. Because we as people, and I don't understand, to be honest, how certain entities get people voted in and they make decisions for us. I'm talking about way above government level. I'm talking about world unified government level kind of summits, kind of organizations. We know who they are. And I'm trying to figure out who's voted these people in, and then at what point do we sit here as people and go, hang on, I don't quite like that, and who's regulating this? Who's the body behind this? And I know Digital Pound Foundation are doing this hopefully on behalf of us here in the UK. Hopefully there are many other entities out there to encourage a uniformed decision. And I do think companies like Quant are very important in this as well, that they do have a regard for all people that will be using these systems and making sure that it does go down the right path, because I think there would be a big backlash if we went down a society that was potentially fully controlled and all this kind of stuff. And that is absolutely possible with a complete digital system that could be turned on and off as they please. And who's controlling this? Who's deciding this? And as I mentioned just a minute ago, this is why it's really important to research the companies from a financial perspective of saying, well, I'm interested in this and what companies are actually going to be doing this, whether it's morally correct or not, what the companies are or are not doing, and what the solution is and isn't in the future. But also to prepare yourselves mentally and physically as to what might be coming. And I think this is a really definitive point that a lot of maybe channels out there or people in general don't think about. And it's something I've tried to do since probably around 2015, when I started learning about unified governments and one world currency initiatives that were coming, or digital currencies in general. When I started piecing it all together, I thought, we do need to think about this. Also, potentially, could you take advantage from an investor's perspective? So, there's a bit of mixed emotions there and thought processes, but there's a realism there in my head. I'm not on either camp. It's more in the middle right now. It's sitting there going, well, this is the concept, this is the idea, this is the thought process, this is where it could go or not go. But can we make some money out of this from an investment perspective? And that's why I think it's important to understand the positioning of companies like Quant and many others, of course, where they are with this. How much influence do they have? How much infrastructure do they have in place to be able to create such solutions themselves. And we know Quant's way up there, well ahead of the game on the majority of the assets and projects out there. Not suppressed at all worldwide, unlike some ones that are out there. I think we all know one in particular that's constantly talked about. So this is going to be really interesting. Of course, different processes, different infrastructure mechanisms, but the principle is still the same. They're all trying to get involved at these very early stages. So this page is very interesting. It might be worth checking out. Fintech Circle. Apparently we've got like a weird investor thing. Like if you want to invest in fintech startups to invest in, and you apply to it, and they give you some information about tax reliefs and stuff like that. So very interesting. I wonder if they'll just let any retailers in there, or if you just have to have a mega amount of money to do it or something. But maybe just do it yourself. But then maybe they could be offering some companies out there that are not available on exchanges or anything like that. I'm talking about like things like maybe Hyperledger Fabric. I know you can't invest in that publicly, but maybe these have roots into things like that. Who knows? But again, keep an eye out for that, guys. Again, check out the recent video we did where we talked about which wallet will be chosen. That was related to the conversation we just mentioned a minute ago about the UK government and the Bank of England wanting to get in this CBDC system as soon as possible. And we must reiterate again, November 2025 is the initiation period where pretty much all the piloting, the trials and the integrations will be completed worldwide. This is very important to understand that this is coming, and we're already coming into 2023. And if we think about a full cycles movement, it could be seen that throughout 2024 into 2025 is where we might see the big cycle uptake, and it puts in a bit of a pattern that we've seen in history. So keep an eye out for that for sure. I think it's very interesting to just keep your mindsets on that. Let's jump into the chart, guys. So yeah, Quant is of course an absolute powerhouse, and I'm really excited to see the further development of this technology and project. I think the team are another level, to be honest, like the professionalism, the networking capabilities, who they know, what they're doing, what they're working with, who they're working with. Just follow the money, as they say, right? And on the topic of money, Quant has been playing around with this fib level here, around the 106 mark. Now, it did dip down. I don't think it actually went lower than 100. Look at that. It literally, according to this chart, and I have to check some other exchange data as well, but yeah, right here on this marker on the 19th of December, 2 days ago, as we're recording, 100. It literally went to 100 and jumped back up again, which is quite incredible, really. My buy orders are still back down here at 87. I am doing a couple of manual orders around these kind of areas. But yeah, for sure, still based on the data, and I will reiterate to those perhaps new to Quant or just jumping into the channel for the first time, what I wanted to reiterate before is this isn't just willy-nilly stuck here at 87. I have a bit of a strategy behind this. Just looking at points of data for support and resistance, taking us back here. I'm just going to go over this advert. Go away. Subscription must restart that. June 2021, you see the resistance on the way up here, rejected, plowed through. We had the uptake like we did with every other asset in the market at that period of time. Came back down, matching pretty much with this level, and that's why this orange line's drawn in here, just as a point of reference. And you can also see the resistance, or indeed the support at these two levels at July. But that doesn't mean that we're out of the mist yet. We need to maybe identify this a bit more, that it's definitely a support level. And that's why I've got the 87 marker here. We of course penetrated that once before back here in May 2022 and flopped all the way down to around $40, taking us back to the sort of beginning of 2021 prices. And this is kind of an area I still have a bit of an eye on, to be honest. But for sure, the first stage for me is this area here. And that's not to say that Quant is a terrible asset or anything like that. It's just being realistic with the full cycle mechanism of any market. And of course, the experience that I've had personally within trading and obviously accumulation, this has always worked out for me personally. Always do your own research and your own thoughts and procedures around this. But in general, if you actually look back, I think one of the last ones that we drew in did come in. And this was just to reiterate the points, both of the support lines that we have here for the fib levels, but also from data algorithm that we see back here. And I think it's very important to analyze the whole thing. When you're making some decisions, especially when you're trying to buy quants in its own individual asset number quantity. It's quite a lot of money to a lot of people, right? and in general, I think, however much money you make or spending or investing, you've got to still analyze that this is probably one of the most higher tiered priced assets out there compared to others, right? So there's a bit more of a understanding that's needed here, in my opinion. So that's the market down. As I said, we're playing around with this level here around 106. It's doing relatively well so far in the last month or so, since we've been coming down to these areas. And again, pinpointing back here in September, there was a lot of resistance around this area as well. Some really big announcements and excitement around Quant. And then we've had the big penetration down as profits were taken. And then just the general collapse of things like FTX and things like this, just bringing down the market back to coordination, really. If you were to draw a line up here, you'd see like a trend line occurring. And if we were to take this kind of like Elliott wave principle back here from last September and October, we're very much in that sort of like kind of third and fourth wave, really. We need to, in my opinion, see this really rinse itself out and come down to the lower regions to test these areas properly for us to then go stabilization, foundation, tick those boxes and bring ourselves back up. But I can't really see full movements, not just in Quant, but across the market in general, happening for some time. We're still in a recession. People are still conscious about spending money and especially investing money. They rather use it for the bills, understandably, and things like this. And everyone's very conscious about that. And I think there's more things to come in the world, a bit more doom and gloom potentially. And this is just something you have to kind of prepare for and try and sustain and survive through. It's a crazy time. Prices are high, inflation's high, probably going to get worse. The rates are getting higher and higher, especially here in the UK. Just constant barrage of negativity. And do you know what? I'm really proud of so many people just holding it together, doing the best they can. And there's lots of support groups out there to help with this. And I think, it's just really harsh, I think, for a lot of people out there. And I always hope that everyone's doing the best they can and as good as they can, and they're all healthy and well. That's all you can ask for, really. So that's what I'm saying with the anticipation of the world movements and what's going on. I can't really see a big uptake in crypto for some time. So this is why we've got good options to try and get lower regions. And that's why I've got a bit more patience. Again, the DCAing aspect, dollar cost averaging, for those that don't know, pretty much the strategy of reducing risk. Okay, so I'm doing some manual orders around here with the anticipation that we're still coming down lower. So I'm not like chucking all my money in and getting paid at the end of the month and chucking it all in there. That's not how to do it, in my honest opinion. If you're accumulating, especially for long term, some people do day trading. It's very different. But this option and this strategy for me has been working very well. But I want to see Quant. It sounds a bit selfish here, but I want to see Quant back at these lower levels. I mean, my goodness, if it comes back down to 40, let's go. Let's just go shopping. But yeah, for sure, even at these areas, in the long run, if we consider like maybe Quant to be a $10,000 asset in years to come, we argue that point of like, well, what's $80? What's $120? But the grand principle is like you want to try and accumulate as much as you can in the best risk-free or reduced risk aspect possible, right? That's a sensible strategy to have. The RSIs at the moment, again, the reason why I'm doing manual orders right now, the 14 days showing 37 and 28 days showing 42. This is a nice little bite point. I missed yesterday, so I did grab some today. I'm not really too majorly fussed about the $6 difference in the grand scheme of things for Quant in general. But yeah, for sure, we have some stabilization to occur here, I think. And just to see, will it hold this marker? Will a bit of news come out next week, or just an anticipation of Christmas spending and stuff like that? Will we see a bit of a drop down? If we can't support that 100, well, the big next market down is around this 87 marker. In between that, you do tend to get a few waves between these areas, of course. But if we just take it, for example, at one of the most recent low points here and one of the most recent high points, you will start seeing a bit more of a staggered approach, maybe seeing these areas of 96 being touched on first before coming down to these levels. Because the values are so higher on Quant, the moves are more significant, if that makes sense. They're easier to be done. I mean, if you look here, for example, moving from say $90 to $120. That's quite a significant amount of money, really, quantity wise and numeration wise, right? So that's kind of like principle. I don't want to trade oil. Stop giving me adverts. So that's very much it with Quant right now, guys. Let us know what you're doing with Quant in the comments below. I'm anticipating some really big things for Quant in the years to come. We've just got to ride this storm out, try and take advantage of some of these lower positions as they come in. But yeah, it's looking still very strong, of course, at the moment in time. I'm just anticipating it to come down a bit lower and snap it up. Let us know what you're doing with your strategy of Quant. What are you thinking as well about all this CBDC movement? Very interested to know opinions and topics and thoughts about all of that. It's coming whether we like it or not, but I'd love to know your thoughts and principles on this as well. There is no right and wrong answer. I think it's just very much interesting to see what people are thinking. Guys, thanks for watching. Let's go on to the next video later today. Thanks. Bye-bye.